increase rent based on his own whim or circumstance without going through the due process of the law. This involves serving a quit notice on the tenant, discussing and determining the terms of the increase with him or her. Good morning and welcome to Real Estate Matters on Super FM 92.7. I'm still your real estate doctor on radio. Today on the show, we're going to be looking at a very important topic, and that is how often can a landlord increase rents in Nigeria? This is a topical discussion, and we feel that we have to bring such discussions to the front burner of our discussions this morning. So please, let's go on this quick break. When we come back, we'll dive straight into the discussion. Thank you.
Real Estate Matters with the Real Estate Doctor on Super FM 92.7 Lagos every Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. This show brings you an understanding of the business of real estate. Follow us on our socials at real_estate doctor. For sponsorship and advertisement, call us on +234 802 735 1727. Powered by Media House Promotions. Real Estate Matters, only on Super FM 92.7, where real estate matters.
Okay.
All right, so before we go into our discussion for today, I'd like to say that last week, the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, NIES, had the 55th annual conference that was held in Abuja. The theme of that conference was Transform, Invest, Thrive, Optimizing the Real Estate Asset Finance and Taxation. I think that that was a very well-organized internet. We had lots of guest speakers and some government officials that graced that occasion, and it was, well attended. I make bold to say that we had over 3,000 to 4,000 attendees in that conference, and I think that kudos to the president, Estate Surveyor and Valuer Victor Alonge, for that wonderful conference. I know that this is his first conference since he assumed office. All estate surveyors and valuers across the country. If I have to say it like that, June 9 to 13. So there's just so much congress and conferences around the corner. So to do justice to our topic of discussion today, how often can a landlord increase rents in Nigeria? I have an industry expert, a certified property specialist, international property specialist, and the public relations officer, FIABC Nigeria, and also the vice president, Young Professionals, FIABC International, in person of Ray Obayigbo. Good to have you in the studio, Ray.
It is good to be back here.
I know. Yes, I know that you were in the studio a few weeks ago.
Yes, I was.
And because of your,
We had a blast, right?
we had a blast. We had a blast, and it's never a wrong choice having you in the studio because of your wealth of experience. And our topic of discussion today is something I know that you are very, very vast in, and I think that we need your professional expertise. So, in the last couple of months, let me even say since last year, rent increment has been a serious topical discussion across the country.
I can't imagine. I can't state how many times that question has come up during conferences.
It's been very crazy. I'm not even going to lie to you. If we're not careful, a lot of Lagosians will be getting ready to go back to their villages.
Have they not started calculating now? They started calculating
a lot of people
going to Ogun State and
I'm
using
telling
the train here.
You see people living in Lekki and working in Lekki and living in Alagbole Akute, which is almost Ogun State.
Yeah.
That's because of the rent,
cost of living
rental
here in
values and all
Lagos.
that. So I think that we need to help our audience to say that before we dive into the topic proper, I like to say that you can be part of the show by calling us on 070-56-900-927. I'll take that number one more time, 070-56-900-927. That's the studio line to call to contribute. Tell us what is going on in your area regarding rents. How has your landlord increased your rent in the past couple of months? And has it been fair with the ratio of increment? So tell us. So that's the number to call one more time: 070-56900927. So Ray, I'd like you to tell us, and enlighten our listeners, kind of give us an overview of what the Nigerian law says about the rent increase.
Okay, so the Nigerian law with regards to rent increase and tenancy is, I think it's based per state.
Per state,
So it's not like it's a general.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So within Lagos State, which is where I know every other state has their own laws guiding, and
I agree.
They've been restructured within Lagos State. We do have certain guidelines for property owners and tenants, and tenants are meant to get proper notification before, and landlords supposed to provide proper notification before any increment in rent, and full disclosure between the realtor or real estate agent, the tenant, and the property owner.
So I totally agree, and I also think that the usual practice according to our Lagos State tenancy law is that rent increment is done every two years, and that has been a generic clause in every tenancy agreement you come across.
With proper notification.
Proper notification too. Yes, but is there any ratio? Is there any ratio for? I mean, in terms of the amount of increment you can put on tenant's rent?
Well, no.
Yes.
Right. And that is, I think, based on the tenant. There's usually a full disclosure on what the landlord needs or how the landlord will increase rent.
Yes, because I know some landlords go as high as 100%. Some go as high as 300%.
Yes.
I have a property somewhere that is managed by one of the top estate firms.
Yes.
This year I got a rent increment of over 200%, and I'm like, what is really going on?
I agree with you, especially with regards to some property owners that are transferring the rent that they are receiving into foreign currencies. So some of them are thinking in pounds and dollars.
Pounds and dollars, exactly. Because they bought the properties with pounds and dollars.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, no, there's no ratio or cap on how they can increase it. But usually, right, with most tenants that I work with, I usually advise that being included in the tenancy agreement, especially when they are going to be staying within the property for long term.
For a long time,
yeah.
But do you always? I like to say that. Do you always, give room for negotiation? If you serve a tenant an increment, say from 1 million to 1.5, which is about 50%, do you always give room for the tenant to negotiate, or that's the full and final figure?
I give room for the tenant. In fact, I think I have a tenant currently that we are, his eyes red, landlord's eyes red too. Everybody's aggressive. And that's the beautiful part about having a professional real estate, realtor in the middle, managing the transaction, because that way somebody gets to speak on behalf of both parties and mediate on behalf of both parties and find a middle ground at both of them.
Because some landlords, to be very honest, can be very greedy.
Some landlords can be very greedy, but some landlords are also coming from a place of inflation from from a place of inflation, from a place of investment. There are I have some properties that are owned by senior citizens that have retired, and the landlord is their children's school fees, who are probably in college outside of Nigeria. It's their bread and butter, it's their everything. So when they're giving bills, they're like, where's my rent?
I agree.
Where's my rent?
But let me share a scenario with you. So I saw a video online of a lady that rented a shop space.
Yes.
The shop space was in a mess when she got it. So she got it and touched it up, brought it to life, spent a lot of money.
Yes.
After doing all that, the landlord came back the subsequent year to increase her rent.
Yes.
Just a year into the contract.
Based on the increase in value of the
So you know what this girl did? This girl said, I can't pay what you are telling me to pay.
Okay.
I'm going to leave. It was a trending video last week now. This girl practically tore apart the shop from what it was right at that time to what it used to be before she took it. She took all the POP, she scattered it. But do you think that was a wise thing to do, to be honest?
See, real estate.
Even the roof, she took off all the roof.
I have a tenant right now, right? And they are on the table, and that is what is being discussed. Yeah. Serious improvements were done to them. Although the property was in good condition when it was taken, all right? And then the tenants increased.
But was the improvement done with the consent of the landlord?
No. It was with the consent of the landlord. That is always to carry the landlord along.
Yes,
it's very important.
You know, it's a different thing when you do an improvement and you tell the landlord, "I'm doing this and I'm going to take it off my next rent, or you're going to give me a rebate, or the landlord reimburses you."
None of that was negotiated, but there was full disclosure, like we are going to be renovating from what you have to what we would like for it to be, right? Good. So there was that improvement. And then 2 years after, the landlord says, look, based on exchange rate, I would like to increase my rent. And the tenant says, well, if you want to do that, you need to give me some months of notice. He wasn't asking for notice. We already, I like to go through the whole process. So we gave proper notice, and then it's like, you have to remove some months because I did improvement. This is the value of the improvement I did. And if I don't, so right now,
I'm sure the matter is in court.
Well, we're not in court because the rent hasn't expired. It's just notice that we gave, and everybody's like, okay, this is what I want.
Everybody's on the edge right now.
So everybody's on the edge right now. However, right, the tenant has also said, look, at this point, I might take some drastic. It's best to console the tenants because they are coming from a place of. It takes a lot of money to invest in improving a space to what to your taste, right? Some landlords, yes, they see the value, but they also understand that some of the adjustments made are personal. That is, whoever comes in next might not necessarily go with what the adjustments are supposed improvements or the improvements that you have made, right? And sometimes they might have to take it back to whatever was as plain and simple as it was initially, and that is a readjustment. And some landlords, yes, I agree, some are just greedy. They're like, this place looks better.
It looks better, and they want to get the current rates.
I can get a better tenant.
And that's how they want to evict the tenant. So some landlords do that
and
too.
They want to use
they will increase the rent to a point where the tenant cannot pay. Just because they've seen the value he has added to the property, and they want to take the current value. So it's just a mess.
It's a mess, and unfortunately, Lagos State, many people are
falling victim.
Many people are crazy. So crazy means crazy, and everybody will now be crazy in the middle. So the best thing is really, as a real estate agent or as a realtor, to try to mediate the situation, find out what the exact cost of.
But most cases, sorry to cut you. In most cases, real estate agents or realtors, their mediation tilts towards the side of the landlord because that's the person who has given them a job. Who protects the tenant?
Which is why in some parts of the world they have a tenant representative and a property owner's representative. It's always good for the tenant to have a real estate expert on their side that can speak and mediate on their behalf.
In advanced countries, I think the person representing the tenant is always like from the government side. I think so, like the council or whatever. So in a country where, in this country now, litigation is very expensive.
Yes.
So for a tenant who is displeased and feels this is, I think this.
Oh, you mean like legal representation?
Legal,
No, I'm thinking before we go full legal, when we're talking within the agent, real estate agent or realtor that the property owner has or the tenant has. Usually tenants can, if we had the proper structure in Nigeria as a registered, I know that in the US they've put some sort of control on a single agent being the representative of both sides, right? So because they understand that sometimes disagreements come up and then they have to. But here in Nigeria, in that situation, what happens is, at the end of the day, the landlord is your primary client.
Okay, so let me ask you, if you were the one in the case of that lady, what would you have done? The lady who paid and the landlord increased and had to vandalize the place. What would you have done?
Well,
would you have left it the way you fixed it and just left it for God?
Should I say the truth?
Or you have sued the landlord,
I can't say the truth because if I say the truth, now some of my tenants say, sister, we heard you. I'm a businesswoman
but I'm eager to know I want to know what your reaction will be.
I can tell you off radio so that nobody will come and hold my word to it and say, Ray,
but it's really,
if
but
you
it was
will
really
do this yourself,
it
what
was
should
really
I
a
do?
sad situation for that lady.
It was.
Imagine that you've
unfortunate
established your
situation.
business at a particular location and you have to leave there after 1 year because the landlord is moving crazy. You know what I mean? So
yes, but there are legal. I think there are legal ways to also go about it.
Yes.
Sometimes I know if you document the cost of your improvements and you file a legal, process to it, I think there's a way you can take.
But
the
that will only work
owner.
if the landlord gave you a consent to fix it.
Yes, that's why, as I mentioned earlier, that's why I always make sure that there's a full disclosure and everybody is aware that, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is what has been approved. Once you have that permission, transparency cannot be emphasized with business, especially when you're about to put serious money on the table.
All right, thank you. So we're still in the studio on Real Estate Matters on Super FM 92.7 Lagos. In the studio with me is a certified international property specialist, Ray Obaigbo. She's also the public relations officer for FIAPSI Nigeria and the vice president, Young Professionals, FIAPSI International. Again, I know you won a beauty contest one time, right? I wish that our listeners could see you. I mean, but they can see us if they go on our YouTube page, right? So can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh my goodness, that was years ago. The Mrs. Nigeria pageant, which I then won, and then went to represent Nigeria at the Mrs. World pageant, and I was among the top 10. It was a beautiful experience for me because I used to do pageants when I was much younger. And then I got married, put on a few weight. There's always that journey from being a young woman to being a middle-aged woman. And when I saw the pageant, it was just past COVID. I'm like, you know what? Let me go for this. So when I was going to the World, I was so anxious because I had transitioned during COVID from my permed hair to my very coily, 4C hair, and going for the pageant, I was like, should I perm my hair? Should I have lace wig? I had a friend, I was like, get very nice lace wig, cover this, who wants to see? Cover it plus the edges. And then somewhere towards it, and this was the first time that Nigeria was going to be participating in the Mrs. World pageant. So a lady from another country who had just said, be yourself. And somebody else was like, don't be yourself. Who wants to see that?
Really?
And somewhere in between, I just went like, I'm just going to go there. So I rocked my afro on the pageant stage. I rocked my gele. And
I'd love to see a picture of that after the show.
Oh my goodness. Everybody was like, oh, this gele, what is this called? I remember Mrs. Norway was like, come on, show me how to tie this thing. I'm like, girl, you tie this thing, exercise. Matching.
That's the honest truth. So let's go on this very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about a very important part of our discussion. Thank you.
On Super FM 92.7 Lagos, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. This show brings you an understanding of the business of real estate. Follow us on our socials at real_estate doctor. For sponsorship and advertisement, call us on +234 802 735 1727. Powered by Media House Promotions. Real Estate Matters, only on Super FM 92.7, where real estate matters.
So our time is really fast spent, but before we go on the show today, I'd like us to talk about the 75th FIAPSI World Congress. FIAPSI is International Real Estate Federation. Our guest in the studio, Ray Obaigbo, is the Public Relations Officer for Nigeria chapter and also the Vice President, Young Professionals, FIAPSI International. I know the President of FIAPSI. I'm also a member. The President, ESV Akian Patola, a fellow of NAIVS. I know that he's been moving around the clock to see that this forthcoming Congress becomes a huge success, and I can tell for free that there are lots of stakes in the air already, and people are really anticipating. So tell us very briefly about this Congress in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, so the International Real Estate Federation, FIAPSI, has been in existence for the longest time, and it came up around the end of World War II with a group of real estate developers, realtors, different professionals of the real estate space, set it up in order to put structures in place within their countries and internationally. And most, if not all, of those laws and policies that were advocated for have been put in place across the world in different ways. And it is beautiful that Nigeria gets to be a part of it, right? Now, the World Congress has been happening in different parts of the world, in the US, in Asia, in the Americas.
So the 75th one is coming to Nigeria.
And now the 75th one is going to be coming here, here in Lagos State, Nigeria. We're going to have members from all over the world coming into Nigeria. There's real estate professionals from all over the world, different aspects of real estate coming to Nigeria to discuss and speak and learn about the policies, the real estate laws and the real estate growth in different parts of the world. We're also going to be having the Prix d'Excellence, which is an awards ceremony recognizing real estate
professionals.
Professionals, companies, projects that are phenomenal. Some of the winners of the real estate Prix d'Excellence are, we're talking what they call the property in Dubai. Yes. Khalifa, I think it's called.
The Burj Khalifa.
Yes, Burj Khalifa. We're talking some of the really magnificent properties around the world have won from the Prix d'Excellence. Is the Oscars. It's a Met Gala of real estate, and that
excellent.
Is yes, it is,
excellent.
And that is going to be happening right here in Lagos.
So, for the sake of our listeners, I like them to have a contact number to be able to call to make further inquiries about the FIAPSI World Congress. Can you just share your number quickly?
So what I will provide is an email address. We have the info@fiapsiworldrealestatecongress.com.ng.
Can you take that one more time?
info@fiapsiworldrealestatecongress.com.ng.
That's the contact email address if you want to know more about this forthcoming congress. So
and it's happening on the 9th to the 13th of June.
Where's the venue?
Well, the venue is in Eco Hotel,
in Lekki.
Yes, in VI, Lagos.
Excellent. There you go. So it's been a wonderful time with you in the studio today, Ray Abaigbo. And I know that our listeners had so much to learn from our conversation today. So
can I add some of the guest speakers and some of the attending?
Quickly,
we will be having Ramon Rera. He's a FIAPSI World President attending. We'll be having the Governor of Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, will be attending. We'll have the President-elect for National Association of Realtors, Kevin Brown, will also be attending. We have His Excellency Professor Yemi Osibanjo San, GCON, immediate past Vice President of Nigeria, will also be attending. And of course, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, will also be attending.
Wow, that's a congress that anybody shouldn't miss. I think I need to clear my calendars and I need to clear all my meetings. Those one week, right?
Yes.
That 1 week, I'm not doing anything other than being at that program. Thank you so much, Ray Abaigbo. It's been a very wonderful time with you in the studio.